So I've always been interested in bioluminescence ever since I first went to Vieques in 1988, and I'd never heard of it, and I got a full education from the people that work with the biobay and protecting the biobay. So bioluminescence is magical, and for anyone that hasn't experienced swimming in the water and having the water light up like magic, like glow sticks, like fireflies in the water, it's beyond magical, and it's hard to describe it. Cameras cannot photograph it. It's just an unbelievable phenomenon. So having the privilege of having experienced this phenomenon, and then thinking about what would I do if I ever could do something magic. I don't want to win the lottery. I don't want to be, there's so many things I don't want to do, but the idea of going back in time and changing a negative outcome to something that happens and making it a positive outcome, that appeals to me. We can't do that. We always say, I wish I could, I regret this, I regret that. If I could change something, you know, I would, but we can't change it. So I wanted the magic of bioluminescence to make it possible that somebody could possibly change an outcome to the better. So I started thinking about that. Who would do that? How could that be possible? And then due to a recent tragedy of losing my husband and dealing with the New York City Medical Examiner's Office, and they're fantastic. They process 90, 100 bodies a night, and yet every time I called, they knew who I was. They gave me all the time I needed to get the information, to get answers. I was treated so well that I had gained a lot of knowledge and a newfound respect for the medical examiner's office. So then I started to put them together. So I have the medical examiner's office, I have magic that's possible with bioluminescence, and then I have the heroine of the book who is now going to affect change because she works in the medical examiner's office. There's nothing as final as death. Death is it. You never get a chance to say something to that person. You never get a chance to do something with that person. So the finality of death is what really prompted me to write a book where maybe there's a little bit of magic that can happen to take away the finality and we get another chance. So the book is a New York City book. New York City is my home now. I've lived there for 30 years. And I know it, the ins and outs, the ups and downs, all the good things about New York and all the bad things about New York City. But I had the privilege of summering with my family in Vieques, Puerto Rico. So the book starts off with the person that is, we'll call her the star of the book, Pia, who is the protagonist. She goes to Vieques because she has a grandmother there, very similar to my own situation. She summers in Vieques, she loves it as a child, and then sees it again and learns it again as an adult. So as an adult, she goes back, she's graduated from school, she's about to start her real life, and she experiences Vieques as a 26, 27-year-old woman and sees it almost with new eyes. So the book starts in Vieques and is set in New York City because New York City is where the phenomenon, the magic that's going to happen is going to happen and change things in New York City. So you go in by kayak, and while you're on this very magical, you know, round bay with the darkness of the sky and the darkness of the water, and all you can hear are the koki frogs chirping and the water is lapping, and it's absolute silence and darkness. And then the magic of the bioluminescence is what is mind-blowing. It is absolutely so unreal and surreal that you can't even grasp what you're seeing. And it is due to a lot of people's efforts to keep the bay pristine the way it is. So you drive in, you get in your kayak, and you quietly kayak out to the middle of the bay, and then you experience the magic. Nova Scotia is my home. It's my heart. I was born and raised in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and I had a fabulous childhood, fabulous family. I absolutely loved every single second of it, and never dreamt about going to any big cities, never dreamt about going to the Caribbean. I was completely happy, had everything I needed in Cape Breton. I am a big fan of Canada, a big Caper. So when I had the opportunity to travel to New York City, I didn't expect to love it. I did not expect to raise my family there. It came as a complete shock how much I absolutely love New York City. But that being said, when I think of home, I think of Cape Breton, and that's where my family is, that's where my friends are. I am still in touch with my high school friends, my college friends. Nova Scotia, it becomes part of your heart, and unlike New York City, which is where I live, it's my home and I love it, but my heart is in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. I did. I wrote it in Cape Breton because in Cape Breton, I can relax. I don't have to deal with subways and noises and all the things that New York City is. It is chaos. It is chaos every minute of every single day, and that is a real great big adrenaline rush. But Cape Breton is a chance to breathe and relax and be around people that expect nothing other than just to sit there and be with you. So I was able to relax. I was able to let the story unfold in a beautiful linear way, the way that I wanted to tell the story. So every day I would write, and I would consider it my job, and then I would take a dip in the lake, the Bermuda Lakes, which were right outside my door, fortunately. So I was able to have the best of both worlds. I would work, I would immerse myself in my writing, and then I would change into a bathing suit and float in the Bermuda Lakes and think about what do I want to say next in the book. I love the story. I love the story that magic could exist, and I do believe magic does exist. I love the idea that magic was thrust upon this person. She didn't ask for it, she didn't expect it, and I think that's the best kind of surprise, that she ends up with a power to change the finality of death, to change the outcome in many people's lives. But while that's happening, she doesn't really know it's happening, and she's trying to figure out what's going on with her. I'd love for people to read it and say, wow, you know, maybe something like this could happen. There are so many miracles that we witness and so many things that are hard to believe. So I hope that the reader will read it with an open mind and know that, you know, magic does exist. The possibilities for everyone are infinite. And, you know, if you learn a little bit of something about what makes bioluminescence real, then, you know, all the better. You know, we should educate ourselves. We should be aware of how important it is to take care of our bays and our waters and our oceans. And this would only be possible through the conservation that Puerto Rico has done to keep these biobays alive, because there is no pollution and there are mandates of what you can and cannot do. So, you know, tourism will continue for the biobay because of a lot of people actively looking out for that biobay. I can't help but write. Everyone has a story, and if I don't write it down, I can't sleep. I need to get the story out. I need to put the words on paper, and I don't even necessarily type those words. That's not cathartic for me. I do need to put it down on paper and feel the pen touching the paper, and I keep a notebook next to my bed, and when I wake up in the middle of the night and I have thoughts, I write them down. Sometimes I can't even read my writing in the morning, but I know that I got it out of my head. I feel like sometimes my head is going to explode with ideas, and I need to write them down. I just need to have them come out of me somehow, or else they'll be bottled up inside me, and one day I'll just explode and out will come all the letters and numbers and characters. So I do need to write. It is my way of relaxation. I read, I write, I think about what I want to write next, and I think about what I want to read next. And I love, love, love words. I love grammar, I love Wordle, I love Scrabble, I love bananagrams, anything with letter tiles, everything. I love anything to do with words and the written word. I read voraciously. I read every magazine, every newspaper, everything online. I read some things that are ridiculous, and I read some things that are, you know, educational, but I love to read. I think I always loved the spelling bee. I always loved to spell correctly. Back when I was in Cape Breton, we were given our list of 10 words and we had to memorize how to spell them, and then we were quizzed on them, and I loved that. That is one of my fondest memories of my mother quizzing me on the words. I can't even remember ever getting one wrong because I loved them so much I wanted to learn them. And then I had an 8th grade teacher, Mrs. Newell. She's still alive out there. And she taught me grammar, and I love it. And I love it especially because so many people don't know their grammar and they don't know the difference in words. And not even to sound like I'm so superior, except that I love it, I learned it, and she was a good teacher, and we had no choice but to learn it. And so that's missing in education today. I don't think kids are educated, and I know my own children were not educated on grammar rules and the difference between affect and effect and all the different ways to spell there. You know, they did not have that education that I had. So I am very grateful for the education that I had in Cape Breton. I would love for my readers to be enthralled by the magic of bioluminescence, but understand that that magic is real, it does exist. There are many bioluminescent bays in the world, and Vieques, Puerto Rico happens to have one of the absolute purest, cleanest, and best. And it is something that everyone should experience because we all want magic to be real, and it's as close as you can possibly get to believing, to suspending your disbelief, and you're immersed in this magical bioluminescent bay that exists, and anyone can go and see it. There are no lines, there are no tickets required. You just go there and be in this magic.